Welcome to Fearless Fighters, KRON4's celebration of Asian American and Pacific Islanders. I'm Stephanie Lin.
And I'm Will Tran. What better way to begin this year's special than with a look at some fearless firefighters who play a critical role in protecting our communities.
Yeah, despite progress over the years, the AAPI community remains underrepresented among first responders. I spoke with one local organization that's been working to extinguish that.
It's a busy day at San Francisco's Fire Station 7. The engine, trucks, and rescue squad rolling out to emergencies across the city.
Why do you keep doing it despite these challenges?
I don't quit. I never quit.
Sliding into action, Acting Lieutenant Stan Lee, braving literal trial by fire after nearly 3 decades with the department.
Day to day, there's a lot of unpredictability.
That was the beauty of being a firefighter. You never know.
Rescue 2, Medic 572.
MVA, motor vehicle accident.
21.
On average, San Francisco Fire responds to more than 200 emergency medical calls like this a day.
You come to work and you have an OD, or you have a building collapse, right? Because I'm on the rescue squad, we respond to half the fires in the city.
Lee heads the Asian Firefighters Association, or AFA, an employee group within San Francisco Fire working to support and recruit more Asians and Pacific Islanders.
Knowing that I have a community within a community has been great.
Julie Mao is Assistant Deputy Chief. She's served San Francisco for more than 2 decades.
When you were first starting out, did you feel underestimated?
Oh, absolutely. When I came into the department, people would second guess me. And can you lift this ladder? Can you start the saw? Can you do these things? And I'm like, absolutely, let's go.
Breaking barriers through smoke and stereotypes.
Every day I come to work, I am who I am. That shows other people that LGBTQ, Asian Pacific Islander woman can be in this job, and it opens their doors.
Hopefully it gives a message to the younger generation of AAPI members, like, this is something you could do.
Nationwide, just over 1% of firefighters are AAPI. 17% of San Francisco firefighters are AAPI. Asians make up more than 37% of the population.
Why is it so important that we have a firefighting force that reflects its community?
Representation matters. When people see themselves in the people that are helping them in their worst day, they feel a sense of trust.
When I go on calls, and I'm Filipino, we can have a conversation with somebody that speaks only Tagalog.
For firefighter Robert Duat, representation also means being a role model.
When a little kid sees somebody that looks like them, oh, I can do that.
In August, the AFA led a mission to Maui shortly after deadly wildfires torched Lahaina.
The things that we complain about, it's minuscule. These people lost their homes, lost their livelihood. They were living out of their cars. It was eye-opening.
The team assisting local fire crews to stamp out a grass fire near a relief center, distributing relief supplies to families in need.
In times of disaster, when people see that there's a bigger response, like the AFA firefighters coming over, it really helps people understand that there's love and support for them beyond their local community.
The department plans to make another trip back this year.
It takes heart to be a firefighter. You give of yourself to your colleagues, to your community.
What are you proudest of when it comes to being an Asian firefighter in San Francisco?
What we're doing, what we're accomplishing. I see a bunch of chiefs now that are Asian, and it's something that my son can see. So for me being here, it gives my son someone to look up to.
I love this job. It's very satisfying when you help save a life.
It's absolutely rewarding, and that's what keeps us going.
Meanwhile, in the East Bay, the city of San Pablo recently named its first Asian American police chief.
Our Philippe Jagal introduces us to longtime veteran of the force, Brian Bubar.
Against all enemies.
Against all enemies.
Foreign and domestic.
Foreign and domestic.
Generations of Brian Bubar's family on hand to watch the decorated law enforcer sworn in as San Pablo's next top cop, becoming the 10th police chief in the city's history of incorporation.
The men and women of the San Pablo Police Department, I am honored to work for you.
He is also the first Asian American police chief to ever serve in San Pablo.
Taking on the responsibility of being the chief of police, you're a representation of your community, you're a representation of the values of your community. So I recognize that, and I I embrace the values of my Asian American heritage.
With his wife, 3 grown kids, mother, father, and mother-in-law watching on, Bubar recounts his rise to the top. Born on a U.S. military base in South Korea, while his father served his country in his wife's hometown.
To my mother, Mama, 어머니, 내가 어렸을 때 사랑해요. All right, for those that don't speak Korean, I just tried to apologize to my mom for being a pain in the butt as a child all those years.
The 21-year veteran of the force taking over command of the agency from another trailblazer.
Admittedly, I'm biased, but I knew from the beginning that he was the best candidate for this job.
Outgoing Chief Ron Rahman retiring with distinction in December after serving as the agency's first Fijian police chief.
Despite his quiet nature, Brian's thoughtful and insightful contributions always stood out.
I appreciate and respect and remember the pioneers even before me, Fred Lau, Heather Fong of San Francisco PD, and the struggle for the leaders, the Asian American leaders, that created the path to allow me to even get to this point.
An experienced hostage negotiator and undercover narcotics investigator, Bubar is no stranger to leadership and knows respect is earned and, in his case, commanded.
I've spent half my life serving this community and growing and learning inside this police department, so I really rely on those relationships that I've forged throughout the years and that experience that's helped me get to this point.
Bubar's first day as chief kicked off Asian American Pacific Islander Heritage Month on May 1st. In San Pablo, Philippe Jagal, KRON4 News.
All right, Dub Nation, we need you louder than ever right now!
Still to come, what would a Warriors game be without this guy, Franco Finn? How the trailblazing hype man became the face of Dub Nation.
Plus, an up-close look at some designer threads that tread a little easier on the planet.
And after the break, a limited-time exhibit at a local library celebrating the South Asian community in the South Bay. And welcome back. A new library exhibit at San Jose State University dives into South Asia, a place where a large number of Silicon Valley residents can trace their roots.
And as the exhibit's curator tells our Jack Molman, each country's religion, culture, and especially foods are well represented.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
And so these two things are Sri Lankan.
Yes, and this is also from Sri Lanka.
Step into the immersive Martin Luther King Library at San Jose State University in May, and you'll find an exhibit like no other.
An exhibit showcasing their lived experiences in Silicon Valley.
Mantra Roy curated this exhibit on the 5th floor.
Afghanistan, Bangladesh, Bhutan, Nepal, India, Pakistan, Sri Lanka.
These are nearly all the countries that make up the region of South Asia, a region Roy says needs more attention in the South Bay. She says at least 20% of people who live in Santa Clara County are of South Asian origin, and more than 60% of international San Jose State students are from South Asia. Yeah.
So many of them have struggled to find a voice, to find themselves being represented well in mainstream.
Roy was born and raised in India, and she says having other South Asians like herself in Silicon Valley added more reason for this project.
These things help them feel more empowered, that we are represented, we are showcased.
Roy highlights the 4 South Asian religions seen in the South Bay: Islam, Hinduism, Jainism, and Buddhism.
What we really enjoyed in our experience of doing this research and this project was how welcoming each community was to us.
Carrot Market in Fremont is run by these 2 brothers-in-law from Afghanistan to the United States.
Because my son is done from San Jose State, graduated like eight years ago.
A San Jose State tie highlighted at the library.
Community members meet around food. I think that's why I focused on food.
Roy says highlighting businesses and communities of these nationalities here in Silicon Valley makes this project more personal.
There are stereotypes and there are I think impressions about the community, but once this kind of work gets done, people see who they really are.
In San Jose, Jack Molman, KRON4 News.
Don't touch that dial. Coming up, our Vicky Liviakis goes one-on-one with a woman who literally wrote the book on sustainable fashion.
And after the break, the student movement that's taking over One East Bay College. Welcome back to KRON4's AAPI special, Fearless Fighters. And college is a time to be fearless, learning and trying new things. It's also a time to meet people and learn about those who got us to where we are today.
There's a club that lets students do all that and a lot more. That's why more and more of them are joining the movement. Gail Long has the story from the East Bay.
On behalf of Movement, we welcome you to our annual night market.
Music, food,
Yeah, look at these.
and plenty to celebrate. The night market is one of the biggest annual events for Movement, the Asian American and Pacific Islander learning community at Chabot College in Hayward.
I'm so excited to have you here.
Khalil Canlas is one of its lead organizers.
I see it as a family, a support group, and just knowing that I have people that look like me in higher education, it means a lot.
Movement also gives students more opportunities to learn about AAPI history and literature. Arnold Paggio is director of student life at Chabot College.
Just so important to see that the students see themselves in the curriculum, they understand their history and their culture, and just have these opportunities to engage in with their own culture.
The name Movement comes from other ethnic studies movements dating back to the 1960s. But it also describes something that happens a lot at community colleges. Canlas is hoping to transfer and study political science at UC Berkeley.
Community college students are mostly forgotten because it's not a traditional way for people to go to college.
Movement provides counseling and support for students like Canlas. Paggio says students are the driving force behind the program.
This was their idea to do this, and so we're just kind of supporting our student leaders and our community who really want to come together and do something a little bit different in this community to celebrate Asian American, Native Hawaiian, Pacific Islander Heritage Month.
It takes a village to organize this.
And organizers say when this night market started 3 years ago, they started with about 5 vendors. And over the years, the participation has grown to dozens of vendors who want to take part in this event, and they hope to host this every year.
Here at Chabot, it's a family, it's a great support group, and I wouldn't be who I am right now if it weren't for Movement.
In Hayward, Gail Ong, KRON4 News.
A milestone for a nonprofit working to improve the lives of Bay Area Asian Americans. The Korean American Community Foundation of San Francisco celebrating its 10th annual Hana Gala this month in San Francisco. The name Hana means one in Korean, and that's the goal of this event. Coming together as one community and raising money for a variety of worthy causes like translation services, grocery deliveries for the elderly, and scholarships for students.
It's about building a community. It's really staying true to our core mission, which is, teaching people about philanthropy, encouraging that spirit, that practice of philanthropy, and then also bringing people together, people and organizations.
The foundation also presenting Judge Lucy Go with its Trailblazer Award. Go is the first Korean-American woman to serve as a federal appellate judge and the second Asian-American woman to serve on the 9th Circuit.
Fast fashion may be a great fit for our changing styles and moods, but what about the cost, both at the register and on the environment? Meet Bernice Pan, a woman who's fighting for fashion that's sustainable, adaptable, and looks pretty darn cool. Vicky Liviakis reports.
So we call this year's campaign Beauty in Every Stitch.
Bernice Pan has a thing for style. She's a PhD in fashion innovation.
So this is an organic cotton.
Worried that fast fashion is creating mountains of discarded clothes dumped in places that are out of sight, out of mind, she looked for ways to look good and do good.
There are 100 billion garments produced every single year. Most of it gets thrown to the landfill or incinerators within 1 year of being produced. And that's the waste that comes out.
Bernice created a clothing company called Deploy. Sure, the garments are sustainable and organic, but that's just part of it.
And then you can actually take this apart and wear it as almost a biker jacket.
Creating outfits that are, well, convertible.
You can take this collar off.
Each piece is adaptable and multi-purpose.
So we really tried to design waste out of our system.
Based in London, Bernice Pan travels the world, here in San Francisco for a climate conference and a catwalk of her earth-friendly fashions. Bernice is sharing her ideas of staying stylish while being ethical, co-authoring this book, and even speaking to the UN.
It's actually called Dress for Impact and Wear Your Values.
Ultimately, Bernice says we're hardwired to want to look and feel great, and dressing up is certainly one way to express yourself. Well, now you can imagine unlimited possibilities.
Comfortable piece to wear that is also sustainable.
In San Francisco, Vicki Liviakis, KRON4 News.
Don't go anywhere. Up next, Warriors hype man Franco Finn grabs the mic, talking about more than 2 decades of breaking barriers with the blue and gold.
Hey everybody, I'm Grant Lotus, and coming up on May 30th, we are excited about this. We're capping off AAPI month with a special extended edition of Bay Area Backroads with gold medalist Christy Yamaguchi, as she shows us some of her favorite spots in her hometown, from the Silent Film Museum to the Train of Lights in Niles to our on-ice collision that kind of took my breath away. You don't want to miss it. Any of it. It's Thursday night at 6:45, or you can watch it early on KRON4.com. All right, Stephanie and Will, back to you.
The Golden State Warriors have been through many changes over the years.
Like moving from Oracle to Chase, but at the middle of it all, one constant has been Franco Finn.
Our Sarah Stinson caught up with the energetic hype man, still the only Asian American MC in the NBA.
All right, Dub Nation, we need you louder than ever right now!
A familiar face and an even more familiar voice to Dub Nation. Franco Finn has been the Golden State Warriors hype man for 21 seasons. A trailblazer in an industry where Filipino representation is slim to none.
I was the first and only Filipino-American, Asian-American hype man in the NBA.
Finn was born and raised in San Francisco after his mom immigrated from the Philippines in the 70s. Is this your mom back in the Philippines?
Yeah, this is my mom in the Philippines. You could see she graduated here from Far Eastern University. She was the first doctor in our family.
And a loyal Warriors fan. Finn credits his mom Angeles for his love of sports.
So I'd sit right next to her and we would watch basketball. We'd watch Warriors, we'd watch all that. And that love and passion was definitely from the early beginnings of my mom loving the sport.
He still lives with her, always putting her first.
My mother is a true warrior that still gets up, still stands up. I'm talking a breast cancer survivor, stroke survivor, COVID survivor, and now colon cancer survivor.
What most people don't know is all that Finn does after he steps off the court. Finn serves on the executive board of the San Francisco Chamber of Commerce, Hotel Council, and Film Commission.
Okay, bye Mom, we'll see you later.
Somehow, he still finds the energy and time for back-to-back events. He reads to elementary kids.
Amy has an idea. Ding, light bulb goes on.
Hosts various events for Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month.
To kick off, made for business.
And auctioneers at fundraisers.
Women 22, women 22.
I've juggled 3 or 4 of these things in one day, but I'm not gonna stop. It's just, as long as my phone keeps ringing and they want a little bit of energy and they want a hype man, a host, an MC, an auctioneer, I'm here for the community, I'm here for the peoples, so.
But then you still have a community service with reading to the kids?
Yeah, and I really still find time to volunteer. I wanna really put my money where my mouth is.
Growing up in the Bay Area, Finn says he didn't see himself represented on the screen, so he never even dreamed of hosting until after he graduated from Santa Clara University. In 2002, he got his first on-air job at Radio Disney. He was also selected to be part of Stir TV, a magazine-style show about Asian Americans. But he got his big break unexpectedly while he was hyping up the crowd for a Hillary Duff concert in Oakland.
Lo and behold, I had Warriors executives and their daughters backstage, and their mouths were like, did you just get this arena hyped up as the opening act for this pop sensation?
More than 2 decades and 4 NBA championship rings later, Finn says he's now starting to feel like he's making a difference.
And then I started getting messages on social media later in my career from people in the Philippines, Asia, all over the world saying, hey, thank you for representing. I was like, what? I said, there's not a lot of hosts that look like you and us.
Last year, Finn got the honor of hosting the NBA All-Star Game in Utah and then go to his family's home country of the Philippines for the Federation International Basketball World Cup.
And it was spectacular. It was like the homecoming I never thought. They've researched about me. I had a press conference.
Finn says the most rewarding part of it all is being a role model to the next generation of Asian Americans.
But they're like, I've been watching you since I was 6, 7, 8, and now they're all grown up and said, I'm doing what you're doing because I know I can. So that's why this month matters, visibility matters, and your voice matters.
I'm Sarah Stinson reporting KRON4 News.
That's all for this year's AAPI special here on KRON4. Thank you so much for joining us.
We hope you'll carry with you the spirit of the dragon, nurturing all of the fearless fighters in your life, as well as the one within you.
Can we cut that one out? Dang it. Perfect.